So we've moved in here, about 8 years ago. It'll be 8 years in December, and we had an asphalt roof on here. The roof itself was put on prior to us moving in, like within a year. And the last homeowners told me it had a lifetime guarantee, which we looked and it said it did. I guess 6 years after moving in, the roof itself started leaking in a couple of places. And eventually it got to the point where we said, okay, we're gonna get a new roof. Although the roof was guaranteed for life, it wasn't guaranteed against any hailstorms or anything like that. We had a roofer that came over and looked at it, and we started to talk about what type of roof that it wanted. And I said, well, I'd really like to investigate a metal roof. He came back and he said that we could get you hooked up with a metal roof. And then I said, well, what type? I wasn't sure because there were so many different options on the market. And I started to investigate, looking on YouTube and places like that, and I was able to come across this roof, which really looked, what I liked about it, didn't look like a metal roof. It kind of looks like an asphalt roof, but it's stronger than an asphalt roof. So I asked him if he could do this type of roof, and he said he couldn't. So this is when I contacted the metal roof company after seeing some videos on YouTube. They came out, Kenny, who was very helpful, and made a presentation. Having dealt with the last roofer, I was a bit skeptical again, thinking that, get the hard sell and everything like that. But actually, when Kenny came out, he was great, and he walked me through it. And after a few months of going back and forth, we decided to go forward with the metal roof. There was a crew out here of like 5 guys and over 100 degrees with the humidity high, Houston. And they worked and they worked, and it was hot. It's a large roof, 110 squares. I think they did it in about 8 days. Like anything, there were issues, right? In the beginning, we had to tell them to pick up their stuff and everything like that. But then afterwards, it was no problem. They did a good job and they worked hard. Getting back to the first roofer, he was really trying to strong-arm me. The roofer I was dealing with over a year and a half ago, he came over and he looked at the roof and he said, yeah, it's got all these issues going on and everything like that, and sign here, we'll fix your roof. So I said, I'd like to investigate putting a metal roof on. He says, okay, no problem. Here are the samples that we have. This is when I started looking at samples, and then I went online to YouTube and I started seeing other types of metal roofs. This is when I found this roof, and I said, this is what I want. Can you do it? And he says, well, no, you don't want that. You want to get something else, and you have to work with me. The guy was really trying to be a strong arm. In fact, it got to the point where he was texting me, threatening me, and I told him to back off, leave me alone, or I was going to contact the police. And he left me alone. But he did threaten to sue me a couple of times. Last night, I actually called the insurance company. We were online for, over an hour. But I was able to get $1,200 knocked off my insurance. $1,200, which is over 20%, maybe around 23% savings. So we were very pleased with that. So I was actually very skeptical of that. I didn't think that I was going to get that big of a discount, and we were very happy. My neighbor's house always stood out to us before. Now that we have this roof on, I think my house looks a lot nicer on the outside as far as curb appeal goes than his does. The house looks a lot nicer. The roof looks a lot sturdier. It's a tough, bold-looking roof. Without a doubt, I would recommend the same guys. In fact, I even talked to my neighbors about it. He's actually looking to put on a roof, and he's commented about my roof. So we'll see. We'll see what he does.